His father was an historian. He works for his legacy. And his legacy will not be relinquishing the security of the Jewish people. So I would take it very seriously when he says, if Iran is not stopped by others, Israel will have to do it by itself.
Hi, welcome back to the Rosenberg Report from Jerusalem. Wow, a very surprising midterm election season in the United States after a stunning and historic and decisive victory for Netanyahu here in Israel. And I want to talk about these issues and the implications for Israel, Iran policy, the prospect of a Israeli-Saudi peace agreement and expansion of the Abraham Accords. And I'm bringing in two dear friends and two dear experts, fabulous experts. Danny Ayalon, former Israeli ambassador to the United States and deputy foreign minister for Israel and a longtime member of Knesset, now in the venture capital world. Danny, great to have you here. I'm
Pleasure, Joel.
Always to have you on the Rosenberg Report. And of course, David Friedman, the U.S. ambassador to Israel under the Trump administration, the creator of the amazing Abraham Accords special, the documentary series right here on TBN. And of course, one of the architects of the Abraham Accords. So a lot to talk about. Let's start with you, Ambassador Friedman. Help me understand President Trump. You are a close friend, his lawyer for years, his point man here in Israel. We were all expecting a big announcement for him to run for president next week. But something has, what just happened in Washington, we all expected, at least Republicans and conservatives, the evangelicals expected a huge victory. We didn't get that. And we're still trying to figure out what we got. What's your assessment of Trump's political prospects going forward? There's such deep love for him, but there's also people who, even within the Republican Party, who think maybe it's time to move on. So what's your assessment at this stage?
Look, I think the future for President Trump could be bright. I think a lot of it depends on how he orients his message, whether it's next week, and I have no inside information as to what he'll be doing. But I think if he looks forward and he articulates a message that is optimistic and clear and projects his vision of a strong America, a strong economy, a strong border, a strong position on crime, a strong position on school choice, and of course he continues his advocacy for a strong Israel-U.S. relationship, then I think there's a message there that will resonate with a lot of people. I think it's very important for him to look forward and to present that vision. I know that he continues.
Just to be clear, do you mean by that not to keep bringing back up January 6th? Let's move on. We all know his case on that. I mean, I
think we all know the arguments. We all know the case. We've all got our opinions. We've all developed views, but those views don't really matter because they're in the rearview mirror. Yeah. I think America has enough issues and problems. We want to move on, and he can do that. And if he does do that, I think his message will continue to resonate. I think he still has, huge popularity among Republicans. I would also say that he has created, and we should give him credit for this. He has created one of the greatest Republican benches, I think in our lifetimes, whether it's, Governor DeSantis or Vice President Pence or Secretary of State Mike Pompeo or Secretary Haley or, Tim Scott, Ted Cruz. I mean, it
is quite a bench.
These are great people. And I think a lot of them owe their success to him. So whether it's him or whether it's one of those who he helped to inspire and advance, I think the Republican Party has a very strong message for the future.
I want to ask you more about that in a moment, particularly DeSantis, Pence. These are some of the most prominent names. DeSantis is a name that most Americans are getting to know, but still don't know him and his views on Israel, his views on Iran, and so forth. Danny,
yes.
The elections here in Israel, Netanyahu is the comeback kid. Israelis did not say bye-bye Bibi. They said they want him back. It's an extraordinary win. But as I said on last week's show, yes, Bibi is a master card player, poker player, but he's got some jokers in his hand. Talk about the Israeli elections and the challenges of Netanyahu forming a government that will not, I don't know, what I fear is international condemnation in a way that's less easy to say, well, that's just leftist crazies. Mm-hmm. What's your sense of it? What's your read on the religious Zionism party?
Yeah, well, first of all, Joel, I think that Bibi's, Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu's stunning victory is really a testament for the greatness of Israeli democracy. You know that after 5 elections, grueling campaigns in 4 years, still the turnout was more than 70%, more than any other democracy in regular elections.
Right.
So I think this is a great show of our responsibility of the people, of their care. And yes, Netanyahu won in a big way, and because he really has a vision. He really shows a vision. He cares about the Jewish people at large, not just here in Israel. He cares about Israel's security. He cares about Israel's position in the world, and he knows how to deal with the threats. Some of them are existential, like from Iran. It is true that we have 2 wild cards in his cabinet, which is in the formation right now. But you know what, Joel? It's not over till it's over. And knowing Netanyahu, as you mentioned, he has some jokers, and if he feels that the 2 wild cards, the 2, namely Ben Gvir and Smotrich, which some call them like radical extremists on the right. I don't like all these terms, but let's say they have not been tested yet. So I think it is yet to be proven what they are made of. And once you are in a place of responsibility, you may act totally different.
All right, so you know Netanyahu very, very well. You've been with him through many, many political international challenges. What's your read? Itamar Ben Gvir as a public security minister, man draws pistols at Arabs, and I'm nervous, and I say that as an Israeli, but also as I believe in democracy. But help me, a Smotrich as defense minister. I mean, that's what they're asking for.
I'm not nervous.
Okay.
I'm not. I think, as Danny said, democracy ran its course. I think that what people do and say when they're campaigning, or even before that, when they're, in the world of punditry, is very different when you have a position of leadership. You don't have a margin of error. You can't be wrong when you're leading a ministry or leading a country. Go back to Menachem Begin in 1970s.
And we have about 30 seconds until our next break.
The Western world tore its clothes, lamenting the change of Israel under Menachem Begin, right? Menachem Begin is in the conversation for one of the greatest prime ministers of Israel, one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. But they labeled him a terrorist before he came into office. So it's as Danny said, it's way too early.
And he made peace. Begin made peace.
Yes, he did.
He certainly did. He certainly did. Look, Biden doesn't seem to have any idea how to handle Iran. He really does want Iran to take this terrible, insane deal. And right now, the only thing that's stopping the world from getting that horrible deal is Iran. They don't want to do it. They see Biden as too weak. Right. So what does Netanyahu do? How does he handle this increasing threat?
Very simply. It is clearly an existential threat for Israel. Iran must not and never have a nuclear weapons. Biden understands it as well, but what is he going to do about it? So Bibi's strategy is very, very clear. We should go together if we can with our best friend and ally in the United States. But if Iran doesn't voluntarily stop its illegal activities to obtain nuclear capabilities, then the world, it's the world's problem. But if the world doesn't go, if we cannot go and get allies to work with us, we will go alone.
I see almost no scenario in which Joe Biden decides to go to war with Iran. I think it's again, and especially after I watched him. Everyone told him don't pull the Jenga stick out of the Afghanistan situation, and he was like, "No, I know what to do," and he pulled it, and the whole thing collapsed on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. I hope we don't have to go it alone against Iran as Israelis, but I will tell you, if anyone's going to do it, I trust Bibi Netanyahu to get it done. You want to comment on that, but then I also want to take you back to American politics in a moment.
I think this is at this point the prime minister, the future prime minister's, life's work is to make sure Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. And the way America can really participate, hopefully, because I agree with you, they're never going to go to war against Iran, but they should at least make sure that Israel has whatever it needs, whether it's bunker busters, whether it's refueling capabilities, whether it's whatever it is.
But Biden sold Israel refueling tankers and said, "Well, you'll get them in about 4 or 5 years."
Yeah,
how's that helpful?
That doesn't work. There's no deterrence right now. The only way to create deterrence is through Israel. So Israel has to have what it needs to deter Iran.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. You know Mike Pence well. You know Ron DeSantis well. Most people in America are beginning to shift in their thinking from the midterms to the presidential elections. Talk to us about your relationship with Pence, but also talk to us about Ron DeSantis, how you know him, and his views on Israel, because I don't think that's something that's a known quantity right now.
So, I'm very close with Vice President Pence, with Governor DeSantis, also with Secretary Pompeo,
Yes.
and Secretary Haley. I mean, we've done a lot of work together.
There's a good bench,
both in and out of government. Every one of them has a deep love for the state of Israel in their hearts. I mean, this is in none of those cases is it political. It's who they are. It's what they believe. And it's how they
not
calibrate.
Just political, but theological almost for most of them. I would say.
I'm reluctant to speak about anybody else's theology.
I can,
but as I deal with them, Governor DeSantis was in Congress before he was governor. He took the lead in Congress on moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Pence and I, made a movie together. Pompeo and I made a movie together along with Haley. I mean, I've gotten to see them when the cameras were off, when nobody was listening, and just to talk to them about Israel. And I can tell you, I couldn't even rank them, but every one of them are superb when it comes to their commitment to the U.S. Israel relationship.
Danny Ayalon, last thoughts. What else do we need to know about Netanyahu as he faces? He's a global leader. What else do we need to know about him? What do evangelicals need to know about him?
He's an avid fan of history. His father was an historian. He works for his legacy. And his legacy will not be relinquishing the security of the Jewish people. So I would take it very seriously when he says, if Iran is not stopped by others, Israel will have to do it by itself.
Amazing. So, fascinating conversation. I'm grateful, and I always wish we have more time. But thank you for watching the Rosenberg Report this week. Keep praying without ceasing for this city, for this country, and for this region. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel. Go to rosenbergreport.com. Make sure to sign up for our weekly email so you have the clips and the full show if you miss it. And share this on social media with your friends and family. Let other people know about the Rosenberg Report. I'm grateful that you watched. I'm grateful for these experts and friends helping take us inside some of these really critical issues. From Jerusalem, I'm Joel Rosenberg for the Rosenberg Report. God bless you. See you next week.